Greetings, Culturians, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have to talk about a brand new movie, a Sony Marvel movie called Spider-Man Brand New Day. And I just have to say, I'm pleasantly surprised. That's good news for you if you happen to be a Spider-Man fan. If you happen to be a Marvel fan, it might be good news too, because at least it looks like they're taking another approach to how they present these films, despite the fact that there's an awful lot of superfluous casting that they could have left out of the film and saved us an awful lot of time. But we'll get to that in the course of the review, mostly spoiler-free, although I'm going to tell you right now, everything that leaked about the special character, 100% true. So, here we go. Now, before I get started, just a real quick reminder. I am trying to get to 50K, so check you're subscribed. If not, hit the button for me. It's free. And then hit the thumbs up button. If you can, hit the bell icon, turn on all notifications. Other than that, let me know your commentary at the bottom if you're going to see the film or not. And if you have seen it, what you think of it. Because my score is going to be higher than I've had in a very long time. And so let's just jump into it. First and foremost, this film is packed with action. Everybody in here does everything you want them to, especially Spider-Man. And despite the fact that we get a lot more Zendaya than I was expecting, it really wasn't detrimental for the first time in any of these films. First and foremost, let's say this. It's got the right director. Destin Daniel Cretton actually seems to know what to do with action. He did a good job with action in Shang-Chi. Everything else about the movie was terrible, including the story. In this one, he doesn't have to struggle with it. Somebody else did the heavy lifting, and they did a good job. The story here is excellent, beginning to end, even if it does break out of what we've seen in the comics before as far as an origin story or two. Now, the appearance of many of the side characters, I think there are 7 or 8 cameos in the film, are interesting, but unnecessary. In fact, there was a lot of side quests that I feel like I shouldn't have had to go on to experience this film, and I think you're probably going to know what I'm talking about when you're watching it. And to make it perfectly clear, I thought that the relationship dynamic in a generation I don't understand worked the way it was supposed to. Peter is still pining for his lost love, and it shows throughout the entire film. And at certain points, well, it might be vomit-inducing for some people. I know Disparu's not going to be too happy, but I don't know if a lot of people are. Now, it does feed into the drama side, but there's way more action here to, well, give you what a Spider-Man film should give you, which is pow, bam, zap. I mean, everything that you want from the comics is now from the page into a film. And the storyline's great. And if you are looking for like a buddy cop kind of a presentation, you get it. Because the Punisher and Spider-Man work hand in hand in a way that I didn't realize that two of the ground level characters had done. At least not since I read the books, which is years ago. In fact, this reminds me of the early runs of Spider-Man when Ditko and Lee were working together. And that really kind of makes this film what it is, which is pretty good. As a Marvel film goes, or Marvel Studios film goes, this one is one of the higher ranking. It might even be one of the best Tom Holland Spider-Man films of the 4. This one really does give you everything that you want and is really truly at the beginning focused on a Spider-Man story. Now, unfortunately, and you've probably already heard this, there are 2 movies. Not 1, 2. And of course, you start off with a Spider-Man movie and a mysterious villain and, you know, a decent appearance by the Hulk, and that turns into something else. And we find out that the puppet masters that have been working with Peter the whole time are really the bad guys, which of course is where we introduce Damage Control, which was long rumored to be the source of all evil for a long time. I mean, going all the way back to even the Netflix Marvel days when we saw that on the horizon. Well, guess what? They showed up, and in a big way, and they go from being what seems like the nice guys to being, well, the bad guys. And you know what? Not to be surprised, but they need them. In fact, every single one of the superheroes out there need a villain to fight. And in this one, you end up with not a whole lot of villains that you could easily identify, except for one. And that's the wrong one, which is kind of a lot of fun. Now, we get a little spoilery, so please forgive me. if I give you a spoiler. As you've already heard, Jean Grey, that's who Sadie Sink is playing. And you know what? She does an excellent job. I don't care what anybody says, but this was a good choice. And it worked out very well, at least for us as movie fans. So, you now been spoiled. Does it change anything? No, but that's movie number 2. And that's where I think maybe Sony missed a little bit. And of course, you know, they're doing their best. They're trying to satisfy and basically distinguish themselves differently from what a normal Marvel film is to what a Spider-Man movie is. And they do a good job here. Sadie Sink's character is excellent. It's not the origin story of Jean Grey, but it suffices for one, and it'll play well going into the next film, which is why I believe it was included as maybe an add-on tacked on to the end. Getting back to the interesting relationship between Peter and MJ, I'll say this. For a change, I didn't mind it so much, which is saying an awful lot, because one of my biggest objections to all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies was Zendaya's portrayal of MJ, and not the real MJ, but her version of MJ. And when you look at what this evolves into, you kind of see a softer side of Zendaya as MJ, and you kind of understand maybe why these two people have so much chemistry. They actually genuinely love each other, and it shows up on the screen. Or at least it sort of does. Interestingly enough, Spider-Man has always been kind of forced to go it alone and having brief partnerships with other people. Well, the one with the Punisher really says something. And by the time you get to the end of the movie, you not only understand the motivations of Jean Grey, but you kind of side with her. And if you are looking for a film with that kind of depth, that kind of action, and despite some uneven pacing, a pretty good through line, this is a good one that I can recommend. And that's where I'll stop. Because when I tell you the ratings, you're going to be surprised. I would never give a film this high of a rating except for one thing. I had a smile on my face multiple times. The film, in my estimation, is an 8 out of 10. Or 4 out of 5 stars. That's incredibly high for me if you've been watching any of my honest reviews for a long period of time. And again, a lot of it is driven by Tom Holland and his honest portrayal of Spider-Man. Now, again, some of the side characters don't need to be there. We didn't need to spend extra time with Scorpion. We needed to understand why one character was kind of controlling the action behind the scenes, but we didn't really need Scorpion to show up as many times as they did. We didn't need to see Peter go a little bit rogue for a few moments because he can't control whatever change is going on in his body, which you've already seen in the trailer, so it's not a spoiler. But one of the things I think that most impressed me was that they shoehorned a bunch of characters in that if you pull out would have made the movie better and shorter. And you still could have had what you consider part 1 and part 2 all combined together to give you a very satisfying film and still give you the Jean Grey origin story, which you get at the end. Look, overall, 8 of 10, 4 of 5, that's just not enough of the story. Like you said, the film genuinely makes you feel something. And that's, after all, what movies are supposed to do. I don't have to make up things and fake compliments like, well, the film was in focus, or the CGI was mostly good, because none of that comes into the question. All of it was very well done, including the direction, including the story writing, and of course including the costuming and seeing Spider-Man for who he really is. But if Yelena doesn't show up as the new Black Widow, would it have made a difference? Probably not. It didn't seem to affect the plot any, and when we truly find out what happens to make Jean Grey the way that she is, well, you kind of understand. And that's it. No more spoilers, no more movie talk. In fact, I'm going to ask you, what do you think? Are you going to go see Spider-Man Brand New Day? If so, I think you might enjoy it. If you're not, tell me why. I really genuinely want to know. Also, is this the kind of review that you enjoy? An honest review, not a whole lot of flashiness, and just kind of a breakdown of what to expect. I hope so, because this is the way I've been doing it for a while, and hopefully you've been finding them entertaining and informative. On that note, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and with any other comments, drop them in the comment section below. See ya.